Well, what is going on? My friends on YouTube, long time no see. Let's see if we can get anyone on the live broadcast. And there we go, We the People is on. We've got one viewer. I think we've actually got three. Gonna wait for a few more people to join in the broadcast. How's everybody doing? Greetings, Lord's Prophet, Stephen. I apologize for my absence. Julia's on from Traverse City. Mike is on. Hope you're all having a good Sunday. And now we got a few more people. Matt is on. Everyone knows it's Butters. That's me. Beverly Gross. Hey. Let's see. Linda's on. Let's see. Schlipp is on. Teresa. Hey, from Wisconsin. My old stomping grounds. Good to see you on the broadcast. I don't do a lot of live broadcasts, as you probably know. There's a reason for that. If you start having issues with porn bots coming in the chat, just ignore them. That's one of the reasons I don't do a lot of live broadcasts, is I have a lot of problems with porn bots, and I don't have a moderator or two. Blessings from Michigan. What's going on? Hey, from Vancouver, Tennessee. Jilly Bean's on. Right on. Hey, Jilly Bean. What's up? It has been a while since I've done a broadcast. And I apologize. I try to do broadcasts when I have a relevant message to send out, right? So I do the Supernatural Saturday broadcasts. I don't do those live. I do them live on Periscope and Facebook. Then I upload the videos to YouTube. And I do Q updates whenever Q is posting. And if Q is not posting for a week or two, I don't have a whole lot to say. I mean, I could do daily updates like I used to do, but I have a lot of work I'm doing. I'm working on books. Working on the Q books. I've got a lot of books I got to write. I got some novels I got to write. I have a lot of work. I'm always busy doing stuff. So when I'm not on YouTube and I'm not on Twitter, I'm not doing things in social media, I am writing or editing or working on a book project. Usually now, I've written 2 articles in the last couple of days, because that's my comfort zone. I am a writer after all. I don't do a daily devotional, although I have a couple of friends who do daily devotionals. So I'm a writer by nature. I do broadcasts because it helps get the message out and people appreciate it, but it's not my love. I'm comfortable doing it. Don't mind doing it. By nature, I'm a writer. I communicate more effectively through writing. So I've written a couple of articles recently, and I wanted to give you all an update on what's going on. So Q posted last night. You probably noticed that. Just one post, one ping only. And Q has been kind of silent since March 9th. Came up for air, said, hey, do not fear. Posted a link to a video. Adios, I'm out of here. Going back down. Whatever Q does when he's not posting on the board. So I did an update on my website article. And I'm going to answer some questions that a lot of people have been asking me. I think the president is going to be victorious over this, the pandemic and the insane news cycles that have developed over the coronavirus pandemic. I think the major problem with the pandemic, sit tight, I'm gonna try something here, there we go. I think the major problem with the pandemic itself is actually the news coverage. I don't think it's the virus itself. I've got a little bit of a medical background, and I've seen a lot of viral upticks in infections come and go over the years. This one didn't seem unusual. Didn't seem like anything big. But the media got excessively wound around the axle about this virus. And I think it was the media and their a little bit of overdrive on the media has put the president in a difficult position. He's in a spot where he has to respond. If he doesn't respond correctly, if he doesn't respond appropriately, he ends up looking really, really bad in the eyes of the media, and the media then take that narrative and push it out into the public, and then his favorability numbers drop, and he doesn't get reelected. And I think that was actually the plan. I think the plan by the media was they were going to weaponize this thing into a really severely damaging news cycle for Trump, create a lot of fear, create a lot of panic, get the market spooked. They succeeded in that. Market starts going down, and everyone knows that Trump is running on the strength of the economy and the market. So I think their plan from the beginning was to crash the market with a series of news cycles creating fear to get people to sell their investments, crash the market, and hurt Trump's chances for re-election. I think that's at bottom. I think that's what they were trying to do. Now, Trump has had to respond to that. I think he's responded really well. I'm a little bit perplexed over the shutdown of international travel. Okay, I get that. Restaurants being shut down, businesses being shut down, the social distancing thing, I think it's just weird. It's weird. I've never seen anything like this in all my time going around Third Rock from the Sun. It's just weird. It just seems like a strange response. And I think that I think there's several possibilities that could explain why this is happening. Now, here's one possibility, and people have been, just ignore the trolls, guys, don't worry about it. One possibility is that people have suggested this might be a cover, the whole self-quarantine, social distancing, closing down the restaurants, closing down businesses, everybody staying at home, could be a cover for mass arrests. They're going to go out and they're going to arrest all these corrupt people, right? And that this is a cover story for that. I don't think that is true for two reasons. Two reasons. So the first reason is if they're going to, I do believe mass arrests are coming, by the way. But if mass arrests are going to take place, that is going to be a highly classified secret. Okay? And there's only certain people that are going to know if there are going to be mass arrests on a certain day or in a certain window, a certain time frame. That's all going to be inside baseball for DOJ, FBI, U.S. Marshals, and they're not going to let anybody know about that. If news of that, if those details got leaked to the public or to bad actors, they would immediately cancel the operation. You can't go forward with an operation like that if the details of it have been leaked to the public, because then all the bad guys are going to know about it, right? So to me, just logically, that does not make sense, because the operation would be canceled if the plans were leaked to the public. Therefore, that's not going to happen, because everybody on social media is spreading that story, and it's not going to happen. Not the way it's being portrayed on social media. Oh, I got this guy he's in the cops and he's in the government and he's got this information and they're moving the agents and everything's going to happen on these dates. No, none of that stuff is going to happen. This is not. So the reasons that's the main reason why I don't think that's going to happen. No, any information. Let me just put it this way: any information that is in the public domain about a supposed operation by the white hats, by the good people, if it's in the public domain, you can pretty much be guaranteed it's not going to happen, because the military, law enforcement, and government agencies do not do operations if the details have been leaked to the public. They just don't. So if you get something in a private message, Facebook, Twitter, wherever, and someone says, oh, here's the operation that's going to happen, it's going down these days, you can pretty much be guaranteed it ain't going to happen. It isn't, because They don't do operations when the details have been leaked to the public. So all of those theories that people have been sending, you can just throw them all in the trash. They're not going to happen. Now, having said that, I do think there are operations that are ongoing that are highly relevant and that have to do with taking down bad actors. But as Q says, less than 10 people have the full picture. Outside of an operator who's dialed in with specific information, nobody has this information, and operators never divulge. So they're doing operations. I believe Q has hinted why the silent running, why is silent, Q is silent for 10 days, and then Q goes silent again, because Q goes silent when there are operations that are ongoing, and Q does not want to signal the operational information to bad people. That's why Q goes silent. If you look back at the intervals where Q was silent, Q will come back on the board a lot of times and say, darkness was necessary, dark ops are ongoing, comms, dark comms were necessary. Phrases like that you'll see in there in Q's post. After 2 weeks or 3 weeks of being silent, Q will come back and say, had to go silent for a particular purpose. And those purposes generally are there are operations going on where they're taking down bad actors, and Q does not want to signal any information to the bad guys. When Q is on the board, and here's the irony. Honey, by the way, I'm on YouTube. Just let you know.
Yeah, I figured that.
Right.
Hi.
The better half over there. So a lot of us want Q to be on the board, like talking to us all the time. Q, give us information. Tell us what's happening. We need to know what's going on. Come on, man. You're killing us here. You haven't said anything for 2 or 3 weeks. Well, it's frustrating and it's aggravating when Q is not posting. But you have to remember, when Q is not posting, there's operations going on. So when Q is silent, they're hunting the bad guys. So think of it that way. Think of it as Q communicating to us is telling us what's going to happen, what has happened. And then when Q is silent, that's when stuff is happening. Okay? So don't be discouraged or angry when Q is silent, because that's when this stuff is happening. And then Q's going to come back and give us little crumbs about what happened or what they're going to do next. So, all right. So what is happening? What's happening? We want to know. All right. I'll be the first to admit I don't have a clear picture of what is happening. And that's a good thing and that's a bad thing. I'm a fairly prophetic person. God speaks to me, gives me dreams. He usually shows me current events and short-term future events, and I usually have a pretty good picture of what's going on. Right now, I don't have a very good picture of what's happening and what's going to happen in the near-term future. A lot of the prophetic dreams that God has given me, a lot of those have already happened. And there's a few things that are in the distant future, and I don't have a lot of information about the near future, next couple of months. I just don't have a lot of information on that right now. And that's a bad thing for me. It makes me feel uncomfortable not knowing what's going to happen. But it's a good thing because Trump and Q are doing something. And the military, they're doing something. Those guys, Q said back on when the heck was it? Hang on a second. Let me look this up here. Prepare for the storm. So when was that posted? That was February 20th. You have come far, Anons, patriots. You are ready. Prepare for the storm. February 20th, right? So a month ago, Q said prepare for the storm. Now, what does that mean? That means there's stuff going on. Q went dark on February 25th, came back on March 9th. 3 posts, 4 posts, boom, went dark again, came back last night, 1 post, boom, went dark again. We're not getting a lot of information from Q over the last month, because stuff is happening. So when people say that they think the storm is winding up and we're getting close to the storm, I think that's true. I think there is stuff going on. The longer Q is off the board, the more stuff is happening. So think about that. And Q has been off the board a lot lately, and that's why I haven't been doing videos. Q is off the board. There's not a lot for me to report on. And I'm trying to get caught up on these dang books. By the way, the books that I'm doing, they're going to cover Q's operation from start to finish, all the way through. Not every post, but most of the main themes and subjects, the signatures and all that. I plan to cover all of that in the series of books. Probably going to take me 5 volumes to get caught up to where Q is at right now. And then however much longer Q goes, we'll add more volumes as time goes on. And I got a little catching up to do because there's almost 4,000 posts now. So I think stuff is going on. Q is off the board. Trump has been signaling, look, in the president, and if you're not listening to the president's live stream coronavirus updates, you should listen to them every day. If you're kind of jonesing for some info from Q, well, Trump is Q plus. So when Q plus is talking on a live stream, you should be listening to it. I try to broadcast on Twitter all of the live streams from the White House. So Trump was talking the other day, and it was a press conference, and Mike Pompeo was there. And the president goes, I'm going to want Mike Pompeo to go back to the State Department, or as I say, the Deep State Department. He laughs, and the reporter jumps on it and goes, Mr. Pompeo, how do you feel about the president deriding the diplomats for the State Department who work hard all over the country? And Mike just kind of smiled and goes, I think they all know how much the president appreciates their work. But Trump is overtly, boldly signaling to the deep state that he's got their number, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's trolling them. He's trolling the media. He's trolling the deep state. And to me, that is more evidence that stuff is happening, that things are going down. Trump's boldness in standing up to the media and kind of provoking the deep state leads me to believe that there are operations going on where these guys are getting rolled up. And interesting to note what Hollywood stars are doing during their quarantines. Crazy stuff. You go on Twitter or Instagram and look at the videos that these people are posting. They're ridiculous. It's very interesting to observe their behavior, their affect, their messaging. Now that they can't go to their studio, they don't have their makeup, they don't have the fancy clothes, they don't have the light in the stage. They all look kind of pale, kind of normal, kind of like not superhero-ish. Very interesting dynamic that's happening right now with those people not being able to go to their studios and having to do broadcasts from their homes. It's, hey, you know what? They're like us. They're like everyday people like us, right? So I think there are some interesting things going on. And let's see, where was I? I'm trying to catch some of these comments, but they're going by so dang fast. Hey, stop writing so fast. I can't read your comments. All right. So let's see. I wanted to say this. When I say I think things are happening, I do not use arrests as a barometer to gauge whether things are happening. Most people do. They say, oh, nobody's got arrested. That means nothing's happening. Well, I don't gauge the success or the progress of the plan by whether someone was arrested yesterday or not. Because you could arrest every corrupt politician in America, throw them in jail tomorrow, and nothing would change. Nothing would change. You could arrest every corrupt FBI, DOJ, CIA, and elected official in America tomorrow, throw them in jail, and nothing would change. Why? because the people are not the problem. The institutions are the problem. They have created institutions that enable corruption. It's not actually the people, it's the institutions, the laws, the legislation, loopholes, and the ability to do insider trading. Senator Burr, and all these other people who got caught doing insider trading. They have rigged up a system that allows them to continue perpetuating corruption regardless of who's in power. It's not the people. You could get rid of all the corrupt people. In 2 weeks, the system would be full of more corrupt people wanting to go in and do some insider trading, do some money laundering, do some sex trafficking, do some drug dealing. It's the system that is the problem, right? So I do not gauge whether the system is, whether the plan is working by whether people are being arrested. I gauge that on how the system is being changed, and the system is changing. A lot of people don't know this, and I've been tweeting out over the last 2 weeks the changes that are happening, for example, in the Presidential Office of Personnel Management in DC. Johnny McAtee took over the Office of Personnel Management. They got rid of some swampy deep state people who had allowed a lot of inept, corrupt people into political appointees